What are the biggest complaints about Megami Psycho? We went to Reddit and compiled some answers, which we're going to share in this video. Perhaps the biggest complaint about Megami Psycho is that she is too perfect. This makes her become known as a Mary Sue, which is a character that has no flaws or imperfections. Essentially, Megami is a character who has no significant imperfections or flaws, which has brought a lot of criticism towards her. Reddit user InternalC4526 wrote about this, stating, quote, "She's the definition of a Mary Sue. I understand she's the final boss, but plenty of final bosses aren't perfect. They have flaws, so that way we can use those flaws to beat the final boss, but she doesn't. He needs to give her something or some reason to slip up so we can beat her." That is actually a good point. Considering that Megami is supposed to be the final rival of Yandere Simulator, she'd definitely be the hardest to beat. However, like all bosses, Megami should at least have some flaws so that the player can exploit them. Doing so would help them beat Megami and therefore complete Yandere Simulator. At the current moment though, Megami does not have any flaws that can be used against her. Some fans have suggested solutions to this problem however, a few of which are pretty creative. Reddit user Excellent2687 suggested a way to make Megami flawed. They wrote, quote, "She's too perfect. I'd like her to have something about her that's not perfect. Maybe that she's so obsessed with being perfect that she has mental breakdowns." I actually like this solution. It's also quite realistic, as those who try to be perfect will try but ultimately fail to do so. This realization would probably drive Megami to have mental breakdowns. One more point I do want to say is that Megami's perfection is a flaw in itself. Due to the fact that she has no flaws, that makes her a flawed character. It's just an idea that I believe in being applied to Megami Psycho. How would you fix the issue of Megami being a flawless character? Leave your answers in the comments below. Another notable complaint about Megami Psycho is that she has little to no personality. This criticism can apply to practically every character in Yandere Simulator. However, this has been used to describe Megami quite a bit. Reddit user Crazed Grape wrote about this, stating, quote, "Megami's personality and past are about as deep as a puddle, despite having so much potential to be an interesting character. You could replace her with a broom, and I feel like that broom would somehow have more personality than Megami." Another Reddit user, Kappa King, also wrote about this, saying, quote, "She's boring. Her personality is just doing whatever the plot wants." Considering how Megami is a supposedly flawless character, that makes it so that there's nothing interesting about her personality. She becomes a boring person. We've seen the same criticism be applied to pretty much every major character in Yandere Simulator, so it has definitely come up again and again. How can this issue be fixed? Several people have shared their own solutions, one of which we'll be showing. For example, Kappa King suggested the following. I mean, wouldn't it be cool if she had a split personality? The reason she's not at school is that she was attending the school as someone else the entire time. Her mind split due to her ego needing to be perfect at all times. While her other self is clumsy, shy, and carefree, maybe she's very ditty. Her story could be that she started liking senpai as her other self and those feelings bled into her Megami self. A way to eliminate her is to bring her two halves together and have her realize that both girls are her and that she doesn't need to be perfect. This is a pretty good solution, not gonna lie. Her having two personalities that eventually combine is a very creative way to give Megami more personality. It'd be interesting to see Megami having two sides to her that conflict with each other. Her having to fight her inner demons and eventually realize both sides can exist together will be awesome to see in game. What do you think of this? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. One complaint that I found pretty interesting was how Megami's appearance looked weird. Complaints of this type came up quite a lot in the Reddit thread regarding criticisms of Megami. Reddit user OK Not a Banana commented about this, writing, quote, "I don't know anything about her character, but her design is so weird. Like, what's wrong with her shirt and why is she wearing those ugly matching stockings and gloves? She could be cool, but she's so ugly." Another Reddit user, Hakazumi, also wrote about Megami's appearance, stating, quote, "I can get past the long ass socks, they're cute, but the gloves are too much. The choker doesn't feel in character either, even for fetishized Japan. It's more of a Western thing, and even then, it's only really present in specific cultural circles. It honestly surprised me just how many people had an issue with Megami's appearance. Fans have constantly criticized the appearances of most of the female students in Yandere Simulator, primarily with their outfits. That makes sense, as their skirts tend to be depicted in a certain way. Thankfully, this doesn't seem to be the case with Megami. However, the specific complaints are regarding her stockings and choker. I can understand the latter, as I've never seen anyone wear a choker outside of some specific subcultures. There was an additional argument that I honestly found fascinating. Reddit user Indecisive Skull responded to Hakazumi, adding quote, "Also, she's meant to be the elite student council president, but she breaks the most uniform regulations in her design, which kinda makes her look like she's against the institution she's a part of. It's funny how her outfit makes her appear to be part of the counterculture of academia. That's pretty ironic, considering she's literally a member of the authority of the school. This was most likely not intentional, however. How would you fix Megami's appearance? Leave your answers in the comments below." I feel like this point can be debated among fans of Yandere Simulator. Another complaint that fans have had about Megami is that she is not unique. We mean this in that there's nothing about her that stands out. Even though it may sound a bit exaggerated, it'll make sense in a bit. Reddit user What4270 wrote about this, stating quote, "For someone who is supposed to be the perfect student council president student trope, she's so basic. There's nothing worth pointing out as to why she's unique among the rivals except the fact that she's a student council president. And that's it." They end after a comment with a funny phrase, saying quote, "If she's a spice, she'd be flour." Even though it sounds a bit crazy, I do get where What4270 is coming from. Because Megami has no flaws, that leaves little to no qualities about her that make her unique. Any imperfections Megami could potentially have don't exist. This, in turn, doesn't allow for there to be anything interesting about her. One solution to this problem will be to give her flaws, as that would create something interesting about her character. This would also solve another problem we discussed, which is Megami being too perfect. Essentially, the solution can kill two birds with one stone. All in all, one of the less common but still valid criticisms of Megami is that she is not unique. I'll admit, I found this final complaint pretty funny. One more criticism fans have made about Megami is how she is incompatible with her love interest for hypocritical reasons. It may sound confusing, but we'll explain it in a bit. Reddit user Jonah Ruby Babies wrote a comment criticizing Megami, stating quote, "The fact Yondev thinks her and Kaga will be a good pair. Megami hates Ayana because of her strange behavior and how creepy she is, and she's considered a stalker in her eyes." Meanwhile, it's also confirmed that Kaga would go to the lengths of stalking Megami herself and marrying her, while also not having any attraction for her besides her family history. Is she supposed to be wooed by the fact that it's a man doing it? Essentially, Jonah is arguing that Megami should not be in love with Kaga because he's doing the exact same thing that makes her hate Ayano. For context, Megami deems Ayano creepy for stalking Senpai. However, Kaga would do the same thing to Megami, who seems to have no issue with it. It's definitely hypocritical, as if we were to be logical with this, Megami would also hate Kaga for being a stalker. This is not the case though, which doesn't make sense. This is honestly one of the more valid criticisms that fans have shared about Megami. How would you fix this problem? Let us know in the comments below. It's no secret that fans have shared quite a bit of criticism about the character of Megami Saiko. From being considered overpowered to having a boring personality, there are a lot of areas in which Megami's character could be improved. She is honestly not one of my favorite characters, mainly due to the criticisms we discussed in this video. However, I do imagine that there are people who like Megami's character. How would you fix Megami and make her a better character? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Anyway, with everything being said, feel free to watch this video next.